Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Pakistan residents voted amid suspended mobile services, closed land borders with Iran and Afghanistan. At least 5 people killed in sporadic incidents during the polling. Days after announcing a fencing border along with Myanmar, India scraps the free movement regime between India and Myanmar to ensure internal security of the country. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presents the white paper in the lower house of Indian Parliament, highlights UPA's economic failures. First news from Pakistan. 5 people were killed in terror attacks in the country on Thursday amid polling across the country. This after authorities had temporarily suspended mobile phone services to strengthen security as the country voted in a general election to elect a new government. Pakistanis braved cold weather and the threat of violence to start voting for a new parliament on Thursday. The death toll from twin bombings the day before claimed at least 30 lives in the worst election-related violence ahead of the contested elections.
Voting began in Pakistan for the parliamentary elections on Thursday under tight security amidst terror attacks, an ongoing economic crisis and a deeply polarized political environment. Although Pakistanis are voting for a better future, they continue to live under the shadows of terror. Whenever our country was put under martial law, the situation worsened. Now things are worse than ever. Earlier things were way better. Now even 10 people earn in a family and it's not enough. The economic situation is so bad that we can't survive. In every household, every person, including children, are earning money, but still their financial situation is very bad. If we talk about electricity bills, gas bills, water bills, it's way beyond our thinking. The election comes almost 2 years since former Prime Minister and cricketer turned politician Imran Khan was ousted in a no-confidence motion. He was later jailed on corruption charges and now is barred from contesting elections. 3-time PM Nawaz Sharif is on the ballot this time, while on the other hand, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, son of slain politician and former Pakistani PM Benazir Bhutto, is in the fray. He has run an aggressive campaign in a bid for the top political post. In view of the prevailing uncertainties, security has been beefed up and closely monitored at the polling booths. Mobile phone services have been suspended across the country. The country's western border crossings with Iran and Afghanistan have also been sealed and will be reopened on Friday. The government's decision to deploy tens of thousands of troops at polling stations across the country comes after 2 blasts near the election offices that killed 26 people in southwestern province of Balochistan. The Islamic State claimed responsibility for the explosions. Meanwhile, seeing the current situation, former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan, Ajay Bisaria, has said that Pakistan general elections are the most predictable and most rigged.
The election results are clear that the army in various ways is doing pre-election engineering. It will probably do some election engineering and post-election engineering to get a government that it wants in place.
Defense expert Sushant Sareen meanwhile said there are speculations that these attacks might be falsely planned and staged and executed by the Pakistani army to ensure a total control on the situation.
The attacks have been happening for over a week now. There was an attack on a police station. Some speculation whether these attacks were being done as false flag attacks.
However, irrespective of the poll results, the incoming government will have to confront formidable challenges, including managing internal unrest, addressing a severe economic crisis, and tackling the issue of illegal migration.
Amidst the ongoing general elections in Pakistan, former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif cast his vote. With the former Prime Minister Imran Khan in jail, Sharif's Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz (PMLN) is tipped to emerge as the single largest party in these elections. Another prime ministerial candidate, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, has also cast his vote today. He has also demanded to restore the mobile services that were suspended due to the unrest surrounding the elections. Back to India now. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented a copy of the White Paper on the Indian economy in Parliament today. The White Paper compares the economic performance of 10 years of the Congress-led UPA government with that of 10 years of the BJP-led NDA government. The objectives of the White Paper is that it seeks to apprise the members of the Parliament of the nature and extent of governance, economic and fiscal crises that were bequeathed on this government when it assumed office in 2014. Further, it informs about the policies and measures that our government took to restore the health of the economy and make it vigorous and capable of fulfilling the growth aspirations of the people in the present and in the Amrit Kal, that is the centenary period leading up to India's independence. India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India's Monetary Policy Committee, has kept repo rate unchanged at 6.5%. It decided to remain focused on the withdrawal of accommodative stance.
After a detailed assessment of the evolving macroeconomic and financial developments and the outlook, the Monetary Policy Committee, that is MPC, decided by a 5-to-1 majority to keep the policy rate unchanged at 6.5%. Consequently, the standing deposit facility rate remains at 6.25% and the marginal standing facility, that is MSF rate, and the bank rate at 6.75%.
RBI Governor Shaktikant Das said that India's real GDP growth for the current financial year ending in March 2024 is also pegged at 7%.
Real GDP growth for 2024-25, that is the next financial year, is projected at 7%. I repeat, real GDP growth for 2024-25, that is next financial year, is projected at 7%, with Q1 at 7.2%, Q2 at 6.8%, Q3 at 7%, and Q4 at 6.9%. The risks are evenly balanced.
Shaktikant Das further said that global inflation has softened and he expected it to moderate further in 2024.
Global growth is expected to remain steady in 2024 with heterogeneity across regions. Though global trade momentum remains weak, it is exhibiting signs of recovery and is likely to grow faster in 2024. Inflation has softened considerably and is expected to moderate further in 2024.
On to West Asia, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected Hamas's latest terms for a ceasefire and the return of hostages held in Gaza. Hamas was responding to an Israel-backed ceasefire proposal with its suggested terms, which reportedly included a 45-day pause in fighting and a phased exchange of hostages and prisoners. There would also be a withdrawal of troops from Gaza by Israel. Calling Hamas delusional, Netanyahu said that there was no alternative for Israel but to bring about the group's collapse.
Peace and security require total victory over Hamas. We cannot accept anything else. Can you imagine what will happen if we don't have total victory? Hamas leaders have already pledged they'll repeat the October 7th massacre over and over and over again. No nation can accept that. We certainly won't. Without total victory, Iran and its terror proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others, will be emboldened to subvert moderate states in the Middle East. They'll threaten the entire free world. Only total victory will prevent that. And total victory is within our reach. Military pressure led to the release of 110 hostages, and only continued military pressure will bring home the remaining hostages.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has met Israel's War Cabinet member Minister Benny Gantz to discuss regional threats. Earlier, after meeting Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the top U.S. diplomat said Hamas's proposal for a ceasefire has clear non-starters, but it leaves space for an agreement to be reached.
We had an opportunity today to discuss with the Israeli government the response that Hamas sent last night to the proposal that the United States, Qatar, and Egypt had put together to bring the remaining hostages home and extend the humanitarian pause. What I can tell you about these discussions is that while there are some clear non-starters in Hamas's response, we do think it creates space for agreement to be reached. And we will work at that relentlessly until we get there.
A U.S. military strike on Wednesday in Iraq's capital Baghdad killed a Hezbollah commander, Abu Bakr al-Sadeh, who was responsible for attacks on U.S. forces in the region. The strike came as the U.S. has been planning retaliatory attacks against Iran-backed militants who killed 3 U.S. soldiers in a drone attack in Jordan last month. Iraq has reacted and said that repeated U.S. strikes is pushing the government to end the U.S.-led international coalition's mission in the country. Ukraine has destroyed 11 of the 17 Russian drones over 4 regions in the country on Thursday. Damaging more than 20 residential and commercial houses, the drones were hit over Odessa and Mykolaiv regions in the south, the Dnipropetrovsk in southeast, and the central Vinnytsia region. No casualties were reported by officials. Meanwhile, European Union's foreign policy chief Josep Borrell met Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday. The Ukrainian presidential office said that the two leaders discussed accelerating artillery ammunition supply and a draft law on mobilization that passed first reading in Ukraine's parliament on Wednesday. Borrell also discussed about EU's military and financial support with top Ukrainian officials and Kiev's progress on reforms in its bid to join the 27-member EU bloc. On to the aid provided to Ukraine and Israel by the US. US Senate Republicans have blocked a bipartisan border deal that had taken months to negotiate, but said that they could still approve aid for Ukraine and Israel that had been tied up in the deal. Senators in both parties are now engaged in an urgent round of talks to see if they can reach an agreement that would allow a debate on a foreign aid package without the border security provisions. Donald Trump has been pressing his fellow Republicans to reject any compromise as he campaigns to defeat Democratic President Joe Biden in the November elections. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has said that the White House is focused on getting Ukraine aid package through the U.S. Congress.
At the end of the day, there is no alternative to the United States stepping up to the plate and providing a level of resources that allow Ukraine to have the artillery, the air defense systems, and the other capabilities they need. And time is of the essence in this regard. So we are going to stay focused on that, and we believe that we still can and will deliver it.
You're watching DD India Live. Still to come on the show. World surpasses key warming threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius across an entire year for the first time. Australia government proposes new laws that would give workers the right to ignore their bosses' calls and messages outside of work hours.
Is telepathy real or fiction? Could it soon be a reality? Imagine controlling your world with your mind. Elon Musk's brain chip promises telepathy for real. But is it safe? Is it ethical? I connect the dots to get the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India. Is China's economy a ticking time bomb? China, once a growth powerhouse, is becoming a concern for global economy. I connect the dots to get the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. India's Home Minister Amit Shah on Thursday said that his ministry has decided to scrap the free movement regime between India and Myanmar. Calling it Prime Minister Modi's resolve to secure the country's borders, the minister said that the decision was taken in order to ensure internal security and maintain the demographic structure of India's northeastern states bordering Myanmar. He said that the Ministry of External Affairs of India is currently in the process of scrapping the free movement regime, and the Ministry of Home Affairs has recommended the immediate suspension of the free movement regime. The free movement regime allows people from both countries to travel visa-free across borders for a few kilometers. Moving on, briefing media in New Delhi, Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal underscored the significant concerns over ongoing fight in Rakhine state of Myanmar. He urged Indians living there to leave urgently as possible.
म्यांमार में वहाँ पर भी स्थिति थोड़ी चिंताजनक है जहाँ तक सुरक्षा की बात है, और हम लोगों ने कल एक एडवाइजरी निकाला था जो हम लोग वहाँ पर हमारे नागरिक हैं उनको हम कह रहे हैं कि आप वहाँ से निकल जाएं, और जो हमारे नागरिक वहाँ जाना चाहते हैं उनको कह रहे हैं, उनसे हमारी ये गुजारिश है कि आप लोग वहाँ ना जाएं क्योंकि वहाँ की स्थिति नाजुक है.
India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar will attend the 7th Indian Ocean Conference during his visit to Perth in Australia on Friday. The minister will address the inaugural session of the conference along with Sri Lanka's President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong and Singapore's Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishnan. The 7th edition of the Indian Ocean Conference is being held on the 9th and 10th of February. The theme of this year's conference is Towards a Stable and Sustainable Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean Conference is a flagship forum for the countries in the Indian Ocean region, organized annually by India's Ministry of External Affairs in association with the India Foundation.
9 और 10 को ये कॉन्फ्रेंस पर्थ शहर, ऑस्ट्रेलिया के पर्थ शहर में होगा. हम लोग का समझ है कि करीबन 22 देशों से मंत्री डेलीगेशन लेके आ रहे हैं. उसके अलावे श्रीलंका के राष्ट्रपति भी रहेंगे वहाँ पर. उसके अलावे कई एक और ऑस्ट्रेलिया की फॉरेन मिनिस्टर, उसके अलावे और भी लोग हैं जो वहाँ पर रहेंगे. हर जितने मुद्दे हैं जो इंडियन ओशन को लेकर जो मुद्दा है, सारे मुद्दों पर बातचीत होगा.
Responding to India and China trade reaching record levels in 2023, spokesperson for Ministry of External Affairs said that the countries continue to engage in core issues of peace and tranquility on the border, where military and diplomatic level engagements continue to be part of the process.
We continue to engage with China on our core issues, that is peace and tranquility on the border. That is also how do we take forward the resolution of problems that we have in the Western sector on line of actual control. We do have engagements at the military to military level and at the diplomatic level, and that is where things stand.
On to some news now that should be of great concern to all of us. The European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service has said that for the first time, global warming has exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius across an entire year. In the 2015 Paris Agreement, countries agreed to try and prevent global warming surpassing 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold to avoid it unleashing more severe and irreversible consequences. An EU official said rapid reductions in greenhouse gas emissions are the only way to stop global temperatures from rising. DD India's Ishan Garg has more from Brussels.
It's a step in the wrong direction. That's the initial verdict of the scientific community. New data from the Brussels-based Copernicus Climate Change Service shows the global mean temperature between February 2023 to January 2024 was the highest ever at 15.02 degrees. That means the average temperature rose by 1.52 degrees compared to pre-industrial levels. In 2015, world leaders agreed to keep global warming, quote, well below 2 degrees Celsius and to aim for only 1.5 degrees Celsius. The 2-degree mark is believed to be the tipping point after which many impacts of climate change could potentially become irreversible. Analysts say the recent data should not be seen as a harbinger of doom, although it does put the planet on track to seeing significant impacts of climate change in the long term. Scientists say the global temperatures are stabilizing, but not as quickly as they should. The adoption of green technology like electric vehicles in many parts of the world has helped. But the effects of climate change are also becoming increasingly extreme, resulting in wildfires in Chile and the US to flooding in countries in Asia such as China and India. Climate patterns, including El Nino and La Nina, are not helping either, potentially contributing to global warming. Scientists say a rapid reduction in global greenhouse gas emissions is urgently needed. Just this week, the European Union unveiled plans to cut emissions by 90% by 2040. But analysts say more green funding for developing countries and investments in sustainable developments are needed to limit the impact of climate change on the most vulnerable. Ishan Garg in Brussels, reporting for DD India.
On to Oceania region, Australian government has proposed new laws that would give workers the right to ignore calls and messages from their bosses outside of work hours. The right to disconnect is part of multiple changes to industrial relations laws under a parliamentary bill that was passed by the Senate on Thursday. The provision is a last-minute amendment to a package of proposed legal changes aimed at strengthening workers' rights. Despite several weather-related setbacks, SpaceX and NASA successfully launched the PACE satellite on top of a Falcon 9 rocket. PACE, which stands for Plankton, Aerosol, Cloud and Ocean Ecosystem, aims to study the exchange of carbon dioxide between the ocean and atmosphere, monitor air quality and assess Earth's climate. The PACE mission is designed to last at least 3 years, but the spacecraft is loaded with enough propellant to expand that timeline to more than 3 times as long. Back in New Delhi, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended an event marking the 150th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada in the country's capital, New Delhi. Srila Prabhupada was the founder of the Gaudiya mission, who played a pivotal role in preserving and spreading the fundamental tenets of Hindu Vaishnava faith. The Prime Minister also released a commemorative stamp and a coin in honor of the spiritual guru. Addressing the event, Prime Minister Modi reiterated the importance of devotion and said that it gives us hope and confidence.
कोई समाज जब अपनी जड़ों से दूर जाता है तो वो सबसे पहले अपने सामर्थ्य को भूल जाता है। जब भक्ति की बात आती है तो कुछ लोग सोचते हैं कि भक्ति, तर्क और आधुनिकता ये विरोधाभासी बातें हैं, लेकिन असल में ईश्वर की भक्ति हमारे ऋषियों का दिया हुआ महान दर्शन है। भक्ति हताशा नहीं, आशा और आत्मविश्वास है। भय भक्ति नहीं, उत्साह है, उमंग है। राग और वैराग्य के बीच में जीवन में चैतन्य का भाव भरने का सामर्थ्य होता है, भक्ति में।
Now on to the India Energy Week that is underway in Goa. Indraprasth Gas Limited entered into memorandums of understanding to establish 19 compressed biogas plants across Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh at the event. Furthermore, IGL is prioritizing the implementation of smart meters for new connections. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya spoke to Kamal Kishore Chatiwal, Managing Director of IGL, to discuss these developments.
These meters will now be used in IGL platforms, and they are smart because they are prepaid also, and they will give you a detailed idea of exactly how much gas has been consumed. So that's a new thing that IGL has done. And to talk more about the other aspects of IGL, I have with me the Managing Director, Mr. Kamal Kishore Chatiwal. Sir, tell us more about this new smart meters. They are a game changer for a country like India. Prepaid all at the same time?
Thank you, Tapas. Thank you. Just to tell about the smart meters, we have a company which IGL is jointly promoting along with Genesis, IGL Genesis Technologies Limited. So the company is developing meters as well as smart meters, because India, as you know, has a diverse customer base. I mean, because smart meters are a little costly, so some people may not be able to afford. So we have both the smart meters and normal meters, and this company has the capacity to produce 1 million meters per annum. We have an excellent road network now connecting major cities and national highways plus golden quadrilateral. So with the kind of development in road infrastructure, time has come that now we switch from diesel to LNG. Now what LNG does in terms of our decarbonization journey, that is that straight away it reduces the carbon footprint by 30%. Now India, as you know, has an intermediate target of reducing our carbon footprint by 45% by 2030. So it will greatly help India in reducing our carbon footprint.
The journey has started to become net neutral by 2040, but more importantly, they are working with the government of India to make sure that there is a diversification that takes place in days to come. With Campus Energy, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from India Energy Week in Goa.
India's Border Roads Organization started snow clearance operations between Ranga to Dumail in Sonmarg in the Indian state, in the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The crucial road link is important for connectivity in the region. So with that, it's a wrap in this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram at DD India Live. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.